Yeah, I mean that's something totally didn't think I would get there, but I guess a question for you guys. Do you guys believe in talent or skill or skill? As in uh, as I've gotten older, I don't think people are necessarily born with a talent. I think it's just a skill that's developed and they choose how much they want to develop it. Um So I guess that's kind of what my question is. Do you think somebody is just born like like say Michael Jordan? Like, yes, he's an amazing basketball player, but I don't think he was just born and you just put a ball in his hand and he just knew everything to fucking do with it, and he could just jump from a foul line and just dunk, right? Like, I think that's skill that he worked on and got there. And I think when people say talent, that's how I read it, as they're just born with it, and no matter what they do, they're going to be good at it, and they don't have to work at it at all. I don't think that's real. What do you guys think on that idea of talent versus skill?
I think that it's more about how you're raised, right? I think you're raised with certain values and certain priorities from parents, and I think those values like make you good at certain things, right? So I think if like Michael Jordan, for example, like he was raised to be like hella determined and persistent and to not give a fuck about what anyone thought or said and to like get what he wanted, and that is going to make you a good athlete, right? I'd never really struggled musically. I always felt like I knew, like it's never been hard for me to pick up an instrument, or it wasn't hard for me to learn how to make beats and stuff. And I think that's because I was raised like creative, right? Like I was raised to think how I want to think, and that taught that like self-expression is like the most important thing and stuff like that. I think that you're instilled values, and those values make you good at shit, but it just gives you like a foundation, and then like that foundation is easier to build on than like other subsets of skills in your life.
That's a good take. I like that.
Yeah. Michael, yeah. What do you guys think?
Well, I think what you said made sense about not being born with it. I don't think Michael Jackson was born with the ability to dance well, but I think he maybe like an innate talent, maybe like he gravitated towards it, and because he worked so hard, it's like it's like when they say black people have rhythm, it's not necessarily that we're born with that, it's that we're raised listening to music with drums all the time, and we just naturally have the rhythm. Like it happens. So it's like
cultural raising kind of thing, nature versus nurture, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. It is really all about how you are raised at the end of the day, and how that mindset, how you use that mindset to get better at certain things.
Yeah. A good example of this is like kind of like complimenting what Mike is saying, is that my wife is Mexican. She's Hispanic. Her whole family's Mexican. They all speak Spanish, everything like that. And like whenever whenever we have like get togethers at their family or whatever, that like there's music playing, people are dancing, people are like doing their thing, you know what I mean? And like even just like 4 people at their house just eating dinners, Hispanic music going, people are dancing in the kitchen like while they're cooking, and just like and that's not really how I was raised. Like we're, my family dances and does our thing, but it's just like not a thing that people do all day, every day. Music is always playing, we are always dancing, and you know what I mean? We are always experimenting with our food, and our food isn't, food is just like something you eat to keep yourself alive. It's not something to express yourself, and it's not a representation of yourself as a person. So it's kind of like a bit of a culture shock, and like, she was raised in a completely different way than I was, like when it comes to that kind of thing. So I think it is kind of like a nature versus nurture thing in that regard. I think that there's a couple different aspects of, especially when we get to like talking about physicality and things like that. Like Michael Jordan certainly wasn't, certainly had to develop skills over a lifetime of free throw shooting, 3-point, working on his mechanics and stuff like that. But he was, 6'6". He was 6'6", 190 pounds, freak of nature. I think if Michael Jordan was, I think if Michael Jordan was 5'1", he probably wouldn't be Michael Jordan.
yeah. Like there's a physicality, like literal, like that's there. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're 6'6", whatever. You don't. that's not just you have a talent for basketball. There's a lot of other things where being really tall and being big is useful in, right? Like that could be applied to a lot of different places. Obviously, basketball was probably again raised. It was raised around that versus other sports, right?
Like 12 brothers or whatever it was, and they all play basketball or whatever it was.
Yeah, so like that's where it's gonna apply and make sense. So that's where that was just something I had been meaning to write down for a while, just like talent versus skill. I think there's like you said, physicality and just binary, like on or off, like you're tall or you're not, your hands are big or they're not, kind of things. But as far as like he came out the womb and no matter what you did, he was gonna play basketball. Like
oh no,
right? Like he chose and developed that.
Right.
I do think that there are certain things that for some reason we are built for, quote unquote. I do think there are certain like certain sports for some people or certain outlets for some people where it's like you just feel so like yourself while doing it. I don't know if I can put that down to anything other than like that's just what you were meant to do. Right.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like, and I think it just like culturally put too much emphasis on things that don't really matter. You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, like, you know, basketball doesn't matter like at all. Like it's a recreational entertainment sport, and that has value in its own, but it's not necessary for our survival or anything like that. It's like an arbitrary skill set and rule set that we implemented for entertainment, and some people just naturally excel at that kind of, you know, they just tapered right into those weird rule sets and made up game that we made, and they just are naturally just a little bit better than everybody else. And it's also kind of like, you know, if you believe in a God or anything like that, but when people are, you know, like, thank you God for helping me with my rap album that did really well. I don't think if there is a God, they probably don't really care too much about your rap album kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's like an arbitrary like skills, like, you know, using wordsmithing and beat making and things like that we kind of created on our own. And so I don't know if genetics really care about that at all.
Yeah. I guess that's more so it, right? Like I don't think genetics will make a talent, right? Versus your genetics can help you develop a skill. Kind of thing.
But I have seen a lot. I did like combat sports for a while. I wrestled in high school and I traveled and did all kinds of stuff like that. And like, you know, we would work out and we'd like weight lift, and I've been lifting weights like my entire life, and I can bench 225 pounds on the bench press, and that's me lifting my entire life. And then there's some guy that has never lifted a weight, looked at a weight, done anything physical in his entire life. He just puts 350 on the bar and just starts fucking repping it out. Like some people are just built different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to that kind of thing. So I do think that there is like, you know, kind of natural affinity towards things just genetically. But I think the 90% of it is probably coaching, training, developing mechanical, you know what I mean, intuition. And just being lucky. I think a lot of that.
It's weird. It's hard, definitely. I think it's also like it can be comparable to like a favorite taste or like a favorite color, or like people like certain things, right? For some reason, our brain is wired to like shit a certain way. And what you like doing is involved in that, whether that's how you were raised or something to do with genetics or whatever. I don't really know, but in my head, I feel like there's something there where it's like in the same way of like, I like strawberries, I don't like raspberries. I like making music and I don't really like doing this other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's also could be like the thing of, you know, you may not even really like something, but you like that you're successful at it and people give you praise for it.
That's another thing, yeah, for sure.
Maybe Michael Jordan didn't give a shit about basketball until everybody started telling him how good he was at it all the time.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,